Chico de Manuel Show. Let's jump right into it. We're going to start off with dating advice from a stranger because I haven't done that in a while and I would like to. So let's go ahead and get to reading this situation because I didn't actually read it yet. So we're going to be reading this together. They had a brain fart there for a second. So let me pull it up for you guys. There we go. Okay. My girlfriend, 24 female, got mad about me, 24-year-old male, getting her flowers for Valentine's Day. My girlfriend told me that she did not want anything for Valentine's Day. When I told her I wanted to give her a gift, I felt bad at the idea of not giving her anything for Valentine's Day, so I wanted to surprise her, and I sent a very nice bouquet of flowers to her house. She immediately got pissed and says I disregarded her feelings and thoughts. She told me to come pick them up because she did not want them. I told her I was just trying to be nice and give her something to show I love her. I told her I know she said she didn't want anything, but I thought a nice bouquet of flowers would be a happy surprise. I didn't accept any oh okay, you meant expect. I didn't expect anything from it. I just wanted to get my girlfriend flowers for Valentine's Day because I think she deserves them. Even though she may not be the biggest Valentine's Day celebrator, I thought it would just be a nice gesture to give her flowers. Did I make a mistake? Am I wrong for giving her flowers when she told me she didn't want anything? We have been together for 1 year. TLDR, my GF got mad about me getting her flowers for Valentine's Day. Okay, so to answer your questions, did I make a mistake? Well, yeah, simply put, yeah, you made a fucking mistake. She told you she didn't want anything for Valentine's Day, which is a pretty simple request. Don't don't give me anything for Valentine's Day. And then what did you do? What you said repeatedly in this shit. I just wanted to do something nice. I wanted to surprise her. I wanted to do the I. You don't listen. She said don't do it. And I understand sometimes women do that thing where they what they say is the opposite of what they want, but it does not seem like this was one of those situations. Seems like she said exactly what she meant. Seems like you deliberately disregarded that shit. You know, I told her I know she said she didn't want anything, but I thought a nice bouquet of flowers would be a happy surprise. Listen to that sentence. I told her I know she said she didn't want anything, but I thought a nice bouquet of flowers would be a happy surprise. Come on, bro. Come on. Now you may not be like a general asshole. You may not be somebody that always disregards what the fuck she wants and what she says and all that shit, but you know, this was a layup, dude. And you turned that shit into a full court shot. You know? You could have took the heat if she was doubling back on you. If she did say, "Why didn't you give me anything?" Because you said not. Like you could have dealt with that. 'Cause at least it was like, "Well, you said don't get you none, so I don't get you none." Yeah, well, I wasn't being serious. Well, whatever. Shit. Every day is Valentine's Day. You know, you could have played that off, but you just basically said, "No, I'm gonna do it anyway." And it's not so much that she got a gift; it's just that she said, "Don't do it," and you did. Are you wrong for giving her flowers when she told you that she didn't want anything? I don't. Excuse me. I don't want to say you wrong because it's not really wrong. Even it's not like that's illegal. It's not like it's immoral. It's not like it's unethical. It's inconsiderate. But like, I wouldn't say you wrong, but you are kind of at fault. Like you walked right into it. You just walked into it. Like somebody said, "Hey, don't stand right there." You're like, "I know you told me not to stand there, but I just thought if I stood right there, I'd be out of your way. You'd be able to do what you're doing." Like, no, listen, listen. Real simple. Stop talking. Just don't. This was not about your chivalry. You know, this was more so about her just asking you to do something and you just doing it. It's not like she asked you for $15,000. She just like, just don't do anything. I'm happy. I'm happy how things are now. Are you sure? Yeah, it's fine. Just don't. Okay, all right, not a problem. I'll just keep that $12 in my pocket. Fuck it, you know. And I don't even think she got mad. Like that's not probably anger on her end. Like from what you explained, she doesn't sound like bitchy or whatever. She sounds reasonable. So like that one was on you, boss man. Like this, you shouldn't even have needed to fucking post this one. You know you fucked up. If you gotta ask if you fucked up on that situation, you know you did. You know you did. Let's see. Let me pull up one more because that one was kind of on the nose. Find another little short one. This one looks juicy. Hang on, let me set it up right. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, so let's check this one out. I don't love my boyfriend. Me, 33 female, and my boyfriend, 34 male, have been together for 2 years. From the beginning, we never had much in common. We came from wildly different backgrounds and do not share values or worldviews, but he is a sweet guy who is affectionate and caring. When we first started dating, he worked as a 12-hour graveyard shift, and I always assumed that his lack of interest, goals, wants, or dreams was because he was always tired. But now he works as a 9 to 5. He works a 9 to 5 as a high school math teacher, and he still does not have any goals. In his job as a teacher, he does the bare minimum. He also does the bare minimum in life. Even though he's a sweet guy, I struggle finding any connection with him. I fear I'll end up nagging him for the rest of my life to pick up his sock or brush his teeth or call back and so and so. I just don't know what to do. I don't want to hurt him. I don't want to be someone's bad guy. TLDR, my boyfriend is so sweet, but we don't have anything in common, which makes me not love him. But I don't want to be the bad guy. Um, well, I hear you. I definitely hear you. And unfortunately, there's no way out of that. If as long as you look at that situation like expressing how you truly feel as being the bad guy, like if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. If you're not lying, if you being completely sincere, that's how the fuck you feel. So to there's nothing to feel bad about. Like you, I mean, I get it. You don't want to fucking crush his little heart, but you are not doing him any favors by lying to him or leading him on, and you're not doing any favors to yourself by letting that dead relationship linger. It's not your job to give him ambition. It's not your job to like be the primary source of motivation. Those things need to be autonomous within that man. And if it's not, then yeah, you need to get the fuck on. Get the fuck on. You know, you can let him down easy. You ain't got to be like a bitch about it. But yeah, you need to break that off. You need to break it off fast. You say he was a 12-hour graveyard shift, and you assume that his lack of interest, goals, and wants and dreams was because he was always tired. Now, see, that's crazy because like my best friend, whom I'm done talking to, my best friend of like 20 something years, that's how he is. That's exactly how he is. He comes home, he work graveyard shift, he come home, play the game, do a Twitch stream maybe, do the same shit, watch the UFC events on Saturdays, and falls asleep randomly sometimes. And I assume that I never thought it was because he was tired. I just thought it was because he's not ambitious. But I understand that. Like I understand like that I can believe. I've experienced that, you know, that type of person. Minus the 9 to 5 as a high school math teacher. Like even if a nigga tired, like tiredness don't stop no nigga from having interests and goals and wants and dreams. Okay, that's not like something like, well, if you sleep more, you'd accomplish your goals. Like no, like that's something a nigga gotta regulate on his own. You can't make a nigga want nothing. You can suggest things, and then he had to sit down, chew on that shit, decide like, hey, do I want this? Yeah, I think I might. But you cannot motivate that motherfucker to do shit. You just can't, you know? And you're not doing yourself any favors. All that's gonna happen is over time you're gonna come to resent this guy. You're gonna resent him, and then it's gonna end in flames. There's gonna be a fiery end, probably gonna be some loss of property or It's gonna be some type of domestic shit that's unnecessary. You know, just let him know. Just be honest with him. Like, if you really care about this dude, and and you fell out of love with him per se, like, at least let him down. Just let him down easy. You know, just be honest, be direct, and if he don't handle it well, then that's don't argue with this guy. Don't play the back and forth game. You just let him know. And generally what women do before they make the switches, you already have your next plan in order, because it sounds like you've broken up with him mentally. You just ain't actually physically broken up with him yet. In your mind, y'all are not together. You're out in your mind. In his mind, it's still a us. There's still a us in his head. So you got to kill that shit. You got to get the us out of you. You got to give him fair notice that the us is coming to an end. I'm letting you know, like, the us is already done for me, so you need to prepare for me to withdraw from the us. And then, as long as you do it respectfully, with some consideration, and with some tact, you should be good. Because that shit happens. You cannot. I understand the difficulty for a woman to not respect a nigga who ain't got no goals. Like, you ain't got nothing going on. Like, just this shit. Nigga, like, you got nothing going on. That is inherently unattractive to women. They might be wooed by your potential, but if your potential never realizes itself, then the fuck is that, nigga? That's just like a charged battery on a phone with a cracked screen that won't turn on. Like, it's got a full charge, but that bitch is inoperable. Fuck, that's just wasted energy. Waiting to power something that's inoperable. So that's my advice. Go ahead, let dog off easy, and move on with your life. Get your shit together. Find a nigga that's more ambitious. Find a nigga that got what you want. And that's just self-love. That ain't got nothing to do with him. If dog was on his shit, you wouldn't have fell out of love with him. That's just how I go for a man. Women generally don't leave good gigs. I ain't saying women don't cheat and do stupid shit. Men cheat and do stupid shit too. Make mistakes or whatever, get caught up in the moment, but it is what it is. Dating advice from a stranger. Dating advice, not advice. Dating advice from a motherfucking stranger. Let's get to the show. Alrighty, guys, time to continue beating a dead horse. This one here is courtesy of State of the Union. Bob Costas. Biological men in women's sports is like, quote, heavyweights fighting welterweights. Now, duh. like I said, we can't really beat a dead horse, but we need more people saying this shit. Unfortunately. We shouldn't need more people saying this shit, but we obviously do. Because I said time and time again, we're having a discussion we don't need to have. Like, it's so unnecessary, but it is. It should be. Like, we should already know. I just shared a post on my Facebook. It was like a little reel, and it was like the U.S. women's soccer team played against like retired Barclays League fucking soccer players, and they crushed them 11-0. Crushed them. They was cocky in the beginning, but they mopped the fucking floor with their ass. There was no competition. It was not competitive whatsoever. So let's get involved. There we go. Sportscaster Bob Costas expressed concern about the decision of boxing federations to allow transgender women to compete against biological women, particularly in the context of Olympic boxing. He emphasized the need for common sense in such decisions, highlighting the differences in physical attributes between male and female athletes. Quote, I understand that when it comes to Olympic boxing, that federation will allow trans women to compete against biological women, at birth biological women. That seems crazy, and you don't want to be called. It's not transphobic to say, let's inject some common sense here, Costas said. Let me see, how long is this video? Can we watch this? Fucking should trans women boxers fight biological women? Here, let's prop that up. 5 minutes, we can do it.
Transgender policy igniting battle in and out of the ring. The new 2024 guidelines now allowing biological men over the age of 18 who've transitioned to female to compete against biological women. The guidelines require that the athlete has declared that her gender identity is female and has completed gender reassignment surgery. The athlete, for a minimum of 4 years, has their hormones tested quarterly, demonstrates that her total testosterone level falls within a qualifying level, maintains her testosterone level within a qualifying range, and complies with these conditions at their own expense. Of course, critics punching back, saying that regardless of the gender reassignment, it's expense.
Get out of the way. All right, so let's look at these. The athlete has declared that her gender identity is female and has completed gender reassignment surgery. So you've got to get the surgery. The athlete, for a minimum of 4 years, has their hormones tested, demonstrates total testosterone level falls within a qualifying level, maintains the testosterone within a qualifying range. Compliance and testing is at the expense of the athlete. I think all those rules suck. I think all of them suck. I don't think you need to allow this at all. There is no qualifying range. You are a man. I don't give a fuck what surgery you have. If Brock Lesnar decides to go through gender reassignment surgery, even in 4 years, he will still be a fucking monster capable of killing these women. It's not happening. If The Rock was to do it, if fucking the Mountain, if any of them niggas would do that shit, it's not happening. This should not be allowed. Because all this is going to do is set a precedent for other organizations to do this shit. And it's going to result in getting a lot of women fucked up. No. Just because you make the bar increasingly difficult or significantly difficult to achieve does not okay this shit. The fuck?
Within a qualifying range and complies with these conditions at their own expense. Of course, critics punching back, saying that regardless of the gender reassignment, it is dangerous for biological women to compete with transgender women. Critics include Ebony Bridges, an International Boxing Federation world champ, who tweeted, "I don't care about political correctness. It's politically incorrect to have a man fighting a woman. I don't care. That's exactly what it is. This society's too soft. This is our health and safety. The girls need to stick together. Women's sports in 50 years will be filled with male-born champions."
Agreed. 100% agreed. Now let's hear what they got to say about it. I quit interrupting.
Back with us, former Trump campaign surrogate Scotty Nell Hughes, former CNN editor-at-large Chris Cillizza, and comedian and self-appointed liberal. You identify as a liberal, correct?
I identify as a testosterone-ridden, progressive, enlightened,
So
mindless...
what do you make of this? Are you...
Too many words. Just shut up.
I had more adjectives to describe how I identify. I'll tell you what I make of it. My eyes roll through the back of my tightly wrapped skull when I hear about these stories of trans athletes. I find them so inconsequential to my life and even to the sport that I don't really think a lot about them. I will let USA Boxing and other female boxers say how they feel. And I've read from a lot of point of view, female boxers like, bring it on. They do have to have surgery and hormone replacement. I think this is a red herring for us to be distracted by. I don't know any trans athletes in my life, in my community, in my state. The ones that do exist get a tremendous amount of coverage. They almost always lose. Let these people, however they identify, beat the hell out of each other in boxing.
Here's Caitlyn Jenner talking about this.
Oh, good.
Let's listen.
It makes them look selfish, self-indulged. It's like all about me. It's not about all these other girls I'm beating. I don't even play in my in my club's women's tournaments. They've asked me to play in the women's golf tournament.
Oh, yeah?
But I can outdrive them by 100 yards. I haven't been on testosterone in 8 years, and I can still hit the ball 280 yards.
I have no doubt. You know, Elizabeth K.
Bro, what the fuck? Is that not a grotesque enough example? Like, is that not the example you needed to see? For real. This nigga said, I haven't been on testosterone in 8 years and I can still outdrive these motherfucking women by 100 yards. In how long? So you think just because a motherfucker been on testosterone for 4 years and went through the surgery, like Caitlyn Jenner did, went through the surgery, and is still dramatically outclassing these women and laughing about it. Like, come on, man.
Satin and her fellow suffragists would be so disappointed in the modern feminist movement and what we've allowed today. I find it interesting. This is only happening in athletic arenas. I mean, you never hear of a transgender woman wanting to compete in chess or the academic bowl or any others. No, it's always where they know that they're going to have a superior complex because of their physical abilities.
The chess.
Yeah, why they have them in chess?
They are competing in chess.
Do they
Why is
separate?
that? Why?
Do they separate men and women in chess?
And why is that?
That can't be your point. Make a different one.
They don't like. I mean, I feel like I heard something about some young black girl winning a chess tournament. I think they do have men's and women's chess, but I don't think it's not like it's like in tennis, man. They have men co-ed doubles and shit. I don't think chess is like that. I don't remember exactly, but I feel like I remember covering something about trans people. Oh yeah, the International Chess Federation, like I think they denied letting trans women compete as women in the chess realm. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I'm fuzzy on that, but I believe that's what it was.
No, that's absolutely my point.
Chess.
Because it shows physically there is a difference between men and women, but not necessarily.
Men and women compete in chess.
No, but I'm saying in athletics, they only do that in athletics. They don't do it in academics.
Chris.
I think I'm with Pete to the extent that I feel like it's a cul-de-sac issue a little bit.
Right. Look, here's the thing.
It's just not.
Let's agree this is not the issue that is going to determine the fate of the nation. Okay, we all agree on
Or
that,
boxing.
right? And let's all agree that Fox News spends way too much on this time on this topic. Fair
politicians,
enough.
Republican politicians.
Fine. But
it's growing.
It's still
It's
an
growing
interesting.
That spends too much time on this issue. Like, what do you mean? How can we not spend time on it? It's constantly happening. Like, at least once a week, if not more frequently, we're seeing headlines. I see headlines, articles about this shit. Some other trans athlete has done something in a sport and just destroyed women. So what do you mean spend too much time on it? It's constantly happening. It's a constant current topic. Nobody's spending too much time on shit. Fuck is you saying?
It is still an interesting issue. It does impact athletes. It does relate. We cover sports a lot. We focus on sports a lot. You could say sports in general get too much attention. What do they matter? Because they don't determine the future of the republic. That's true, too. But we cover sports, and we cover this one. And it seems kind of nuts to me that they're allowing this to happen.
So
How do you feel?
On a good day, I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
When I'm standing up straight. If I went through this process, and Pete rightly notes, I mean, it's not like a 2-day process, right?
Right.
You have the surgery.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a process.
Right.
And
if I went through
that,
let me get to the but. Let me get to the but. If I went through that process, I would still be 6'3" and likely fighting someone who is. I mean, I'm not.
No, there's a weight class. In boxing, you would be only fighting someone who's 6'3" and whatever you weigh. Around that, it's a weight class.
And where is that amongst women? Show me a weight class, some kind of classification of 6 foot or taller women fighting at the weight of that other gentleman. Do it. I'll wait.
So maybe your bones would be more dense or something. But listen, there aren't any trans female boxers that are probably going to make it that far. I mean, let's talk about it then, but it's not an issue. There's very few of them doing it. There's very few of them competing.
For today.
But isn't this a terrible issue for liberals in general? I mean, shouldn't liberals I think your position is the right one, which is we don't want to talk about this. It's just a bad issue for us, right? For liberal, because it's ridiculous when you think about it from a big picture. The idea they have to get this much hormones and this, it just seems like an issue that liberals just want to say we don't want to talk about this.
I agree.
Right?
Yes. I would say that if you want to talk about the political outcomes, maybe, but I would look at it from a human point of view. I don't think it's a terrible issue for people like me who identify as liberal and progressive to care about people who aren't like me. That's who we are. That's how we think.
But to your point,
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's that. There's fucking that. Let's get back to this article, because I kind of agree. If that's Dan Abrams, I agree with him. This whole shit's nuts. All this whole talking about all this explanation, like this is like just low-hanging fruit discussion. Like, this shit is not that motherfucking, you know, it ain't that damn complex. It ain't. And all this discussion and forum regarding it makes it seem like it's really like a nuanced issue, but it's not. There's not much nuance to it. It shouldn't fucking happen. Just to finish this article, because it's short, quote, a lot of this is murky and we know that some people who use this as an issue are actually hostile towards trans people, or people who, after a carefully considered decision at a certain point in life, decide that they'll be happier and closer to their true selves. Okay, fair enough, but like, them being happier and closer to their true selves at the expense of women is unacceptable. At the expense of anyone is unacceptable. It just is. We can't, there's no allowance for that shit. Fuck what you talking about, man. There is no allowance for that. Costas also pointed out the importance of establishing clear rules in this regard. Quote, I think any sensitive person is aligned with that, but Sugar Ray Leonard didn't fight Mike Tyson. They were contemporaries. Sugar Ray was a welterweight. Mike was a heavyweight. If someday the best player in the WNBA can play in the NBA, everybody would applaud. But the worst guy at the end of the bench on the worst team in the NBA went to the NBA and averaged 40 points a game. Everybody knows that's bullshit. Man, he's right in the sense that they're contemporaries, Mike Tyson and Sugar Ray Leonard. But like, both Mike Tyson and both Sugar Ray Leonard would be undefeated no matter how many people they fought against women. They would never fucking lose. No woman would outbox them. They would destroy every woman in their path. Easily. So to talk about like it's a matter of weight class, like if a dude's like a $180, 200 or up, I don't give a fuck how many years that nigga's on estrogen treatments or lower testosterone. It doesn't matter. He's not going to shrink down and become a woman because he isn't. We shouldn't even be talking about pound for pound. Like, even at 175, if I fight a woman at 175, I'm a $175 right now. So, like, if I fight a woman at a $175, I'm going to beat her ass. I'm going to destroy her. And anything lesser than me and probably even slightly heavier than me. Like, she's got to be like a UFC fighter or something, or some type of female boxer. You just toss any 175-pound woman in there, I'm going to body her ass. Easily. It's a stupid-ass conversation that we need to stop having, man. I really don't even like covering this shit anymore. Because it's like I just end up saying the same thing every time. Like, why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about this? Still. Why are we still talking about this? It's ludicrous. Trans women should not be in sports. This is one of my very first episodes a year ago. Trans women will destroy women's sports. And that's that. All right, coming at you, courtesy of Fox News. Let's see here. Bill Maher rips America-bashing liberal celebs who vowed to flee the country under Trump. They're still here. So, I mean, I'm here for it. They got a little excerpt here where it appears to be on Bill Maher on his podcast, chatting with Jim Gaffigan, rather funny comedian. So let's check that out. I said, let's check that out. Having some technical difficulties here. There we go.
Has survived up until now. I mean, I understand why I'm on, because I'm on HBO. It's an hour without commercials. And I mean, sorry, it's just a lot more entertaining. It's a lot more edgy. It's a lot more unpredictable. It's true talk.
People develop a relationship. They want to hear Colbert's take about the day. They want to see.
It's not a take. Those guys don't have takes. I have takes. I have a take on things. What they do is say exactly what a liberal audience wants them to say about that. That's not a take. I'm not saying it's not sincere. I guess it is on their part, but even if it wasn't, that's what they would do. There's never a moment where you don't know exactly, oh, this is the correct point of view on that.
Damn, I didn't know that. Off the air since late April due to the writer's strikes. Is this old or like what? Or April last year? I don't know. But no, I would largely agree with what Bill Maher is saying, which is why I fuck with Bill Maher, even though he's a liberal. He's a Democrat. No, take that back. I don't know if he's a Democrat or not, but I know he's definitely liberal. He is that. But he calls liberals on their shit a lot. He's been doing that for a long time. Like I've been watching Bill Maher since Religulous. So like, and that's what it is. You know, they got that. It was Trevor Noah, Jon Stewart. I just heard Jon Stewart's back on the fucking Daily Show. Like all those guys, they've been doing that shit for years. That's their shtick. That's what they do. You know? And who cares to hear that shit? I don't care to hear that shit anymore. All that shit is garbage to me. I want to hear that shit. Like, you know, maybe they sprinkle some drop some facts in there, some good, objectively good shit. But it's largely fueled by a left wing agenda. And I'm just not with that shit. It's not get wittable. Like it ain't you selling me a product that I'm gonna hate by the time I get home. I'm gonna fucking hate it before I've even taken it out the box on the ride home, stuck in traffic. I'm like, why the fuck did I come here? Why did I do this? Why did I do this? You know? So let's hit the article. Real-time host Bill Maher called out fellow Hollywood liberals for their previous vow to leave the country under President Trump, but are still here. And let's make this bigger. Fucking my dad. I had it this way, but watching that video. In his closing monologue on Friday, Maher bashed Americans who complain about living in the U.S., beginning with politicians like a progressive state representative candidate in New Hampshire who posted on social media saying, I need to get the fuck out of this country, and former President Trump, who said he, quote, could have been relaxing in the south of France instead of running for president. Quote, again, I'm confused by this political message. Vote for me because I hate it here, Maher quipped. Now, does America have big problems? Yes. I've often cited the America Sucks list. Things like being 54th in the world in infant mortality behind Cuba, 19th in literacy behind Russia, 72nd in female representation in government behind Iraq. A lot of work to do here. And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes. But we're not there yet, not by a long shot. And we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it. You know? I agree with that. I agree with that message. You know, vote for me because I hate it here. It's not very patriotic. It's not very inspirational. Kind of the things you need when campaigning to become the president. At least you should need it anyways. You know, fucking all these people, especially like these activists, like these fucking climate activists and these like vegans and these PETA morons and shit, like getting in the way of fucking traffic and blocking highways and shit to talk about shit that if we cared about, we'd be activists too. You know? Like, we don't care about that shit. We don't. You know? If you got a problem with how, like, if you had a job and you fucking hated it because one, it sucked, two, they were corrupt and crooked, but you stay at the job or you don't make some type of effort to get the fuck on, don't that kind of make you crooked with them? Like, I ain't, that's all like, oh, he was just hanging with the wrong crowd. Nigga, if you hanging with the wrong crowd, ain't you the wrong crowd? How the fuck you gonna be hanging with the wrong crowd but not associated with them? At the very minimum, you're associated by proximity. So what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, I'm just hanging with the wrong crowd. And if you know it's the wrong crowd, why in the fuck are you hanging with them? Stop hanging with the wrong crowd, dumbass. Stupid. Quote, maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it. Maher continued, sparking cheers from his audience. The HBO host shamed the quote 59% of liberals who said in a poll that they considered leaving America for good, telling them, quote, you want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want them to leave? He also bashed the conservative movement in Texas for pushing a secession, joking they have 2 bumper stickers in that state. America, love it or leave it, and we're leaving it. That's actually really funny. Yeah, just to touch on that real quick, like the double standard here, the contradiction is glaring. You know, everybody can complain about this shit, but they all jump ship when it's time to fix it. And the catch here is that they didn't actually jump ship. They stayed ship and complained about being on the ship. Like, if you're going to jump ship, that means you kind of got to get the fuck off of it. I understand that there's endless miles and miles of ocean wherever you look. But if you don't want to be here, that's the alternative, Brody. That's the fuck was that? If you don't want to be here, that's the alternative. Go. Bye. See ya. No one's forcing you to be here. To continue, he then listed liberal celebrities like Lena Dunham, Cher, Snoop Dogg, Bryan Cranston, Susan Sarandon, Al Sharpton, Whoopi Goldberg, Chelsea Handler, and Barbara Streisand, among others, who, quote, swear they'll go if a Republican is elected, and no one ever does. Quote, Miley Cyrus once said, I am moving if Trump is my president. I don't say things I don't mean. Here she is looking miserable, having to endure America at the Grammys last Sunday. I guess she flew back from Tajikistan. No, Tajikistan. Tajikistan. Okay, yeah, maybe I said that wrong. Sorry. In 2016, Eddie Griffin said, if Trump wins, I'm moving to Africa. Apparently very slowly, because in Trump's 4 years, he only got as far as Van Nuys. George Lopez once said that if Trump won, he won't have to worry about immigration. We'll all go back. George Lopez, still here, and it doesn't look like the migrant traffic is going back. Let me see. I mean, I've said it before too. Like, if you like these goddamn migrants so much, invite them into your homes. If you hate the shit so bad, leave. But this is a phenomenon where people enjoy complaining about a situation more than they enjoy solving the problem. You don't want your problem solved. You don't actually want things to get better. You just want a convenient, low-hanging, relatable talking point to vent your frustrations through at the expense of other people's sound waves, at the expense of other people's eardrums. That's what you want. Quote, the New Republic just ran a story about the vulnerable minorities who want to flee America, including the author, a gay man trapped in the dystopian homophobic hellscape that is New York City. I wonder if he knows that there are 66 countries where just being gay is a crime. Cute story in the news last month. Burundi's president called on his citizens to stone gay people, and not in the good way. Wow. Suddenly the don't say gay law doesn't sound all that bad. And Uganda. Oh, they don't just give you a ticket for parking in the rear. You can get the death penalty for it. In China, they have the death penalty for almost 50 crimes. And in 13 countries, atheism is punishable by death. And 61 impose restrictions on women's clothing. So bring a scarf. Maher continued with his list of countries with lack of individual liberties. According to Amnesty International, paramilitary groups kill the government's critics in Argentina, Brazil, Colombia, Venezuela, and arbitrary detentions are widespread in Cuba, Ecuador, El Salvador, Nicaragua. If you're wondering how that's just like no cash bail, it's not. In Russia, just referring to the war in Ukraine as a war can get you 15 years in the fabulous prisons made by some of the world's most famous novels. You'll think America's evil because we didn't nominate Margot Robbie for an Oscar. Just wait till you get thrown out the window of your very own dream house. He also mentioned how thieves have their hands cut off in countries like Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, and Sudan. Joking, if you're coming from San Francisco, do your shoplifting at home. And how protesters are shot in many countries. Excuse me. It almost seems like the world is full of suffering, intolerance, and oppression on a scale we can't imagine. But that can't be true because if it was, we'd be protesting it. It must only happen in Israel, Maher quipped. And for your exile, if you do wind up in some comparatively luxurious place like Canada or Japan or the UK, not that they want you, at best you'll be trading a bunch of stuff you hate about this country for a bunch of stuff you'll soon hate about your new home. It took me only 4 days in Amsterdam to learn that while I admire Amsterdam, I don't want to live there. The buildings are cramped, shaped like needles. The food is awful. The TV is in a different language. It's wet and cold. The people are polite, but cold. And they do a bunch of weird shit. The explanation for, according to my friend, was just remember, they're high. Sounds like California to me. Sounds like Las Vegas to me. You go into a fucking Ross Dress for Less, and you see a guy clothesline $700 worth of cologne and other shit into a duffel bag, ignoring loss prevention as they storm out of the door, casually indifferent to any kind of rules and regulations. You know? Shit. Just remember, he's only high off fentanyl. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Motherfuckers complain about this shit, and the thing is, the problems in America can be solved. We can fix a lot of shit here easily. Like, motherfucker, you do some shoplifting, you go to jail, you go to the station. You don't even go to jail. You go down to the station, get booked, and consequently released. You know? But like you said, in Saudi Arabia, steal something, and it'll be the last thing you ever touch with your hands. There's a lot of tolerance here. So to have this many complaints with this level of tolerance kind of makes you stand back and look like, what the fuck? Even in a homeless shelter, like motherfuckers get, when it was freezing rigid cold up here a couple weeks ago, and motherfuckers stayed in for like 21 straight days, you know, and got fed 3 times a day, every day, threw up and had that shit cleaned up, you know, had a blanket, 5 or 6 blankets on their fucking cot at the expense of everyone else. And then be like, this nasty ass food, I don't want this shit. Nigga, they should have put some fried chicken with this shit, bro. I don't want this fucking shit, bro. Nigga, what? You know, the alternative is you could be eating garbage out the dumpster, motherfucker. Like somebody who don't know you gave a fuck about you enough to clothe, feed, and house your ass. If you do have a complaint, you should shoulder that shit on your own time. I mean, because your ass can go the fuck back outside. You can go freeze to death if you don't like these veritable conditions here, bitch. For real. This is that narcissistic shit where people just want to complain and be heard, even if by only themselves, than actually take any real effort, any real action to solve shit. It's annoying. It's incessant. Shut the fuck up. Be quiet. Actions speak louder than words, but in your case, the opposite is true. And quite frankly, y'all niggas is loud as fuck, and we tired of hearing y'all. So do us all a favor, go get a roll of duct tape and just wrap it around your mouth several dozen times and leave it there. I mean, I guess you can cut a small hole in it so you can eat like jelly beans and like Reese's Pieces and shit when you get hungry. You can put a straw in there, sip some tap water, but that's it. No words, no volume, no sound. We sick of hearing that shit. Stupid ass shit. Shut the fuck up. Please. All right, let's wrap this thing up. Courtesy of, who was it? Who the fuck was it? NBC News. Florida school asks parents for permission to have an African-American author read to students. What the fuck? What? Is that? How woke is that? Seriously, how fucking woke is that to like have an African American? You gotta get parental permission to have a black man or a black person read to kids, but y'all will put drag queens in front of kids though, and say nothing about it. Matter of fact, you'll condone that shit, but God forbid you put a black man in front of kids to read something that's not about gay sex or queer or some shit like that. Fuck, weird shit, bro. Weird ass shit. So let's get involved. A Florida school district is drawing fire for asking parents to consent to having their children participate in a book reading by an African American author to comply with state law. I had to give permission for this or else my child would not participate. Parent wrote one parent, Charles Walter, who posted a photo of a Miami-Dade public schools permission slip to X on Monday evening. The forum describes the activity as a quote read aloud scheduled from Tuesday from 1:30 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. in the library. Next to types of guests that may attend the activity or event, it says fireman, doctor, artist. Now zoom out a bit. They got a picture here. It says Miami-Dade County Public Schools activity event. Students will participate and listen to a book written by an African American. Like, this is that motherfucking hang on, let me blow this up. This that race hustling shit. Like, what fucking difference does it make what race the guy is? Like, why does that matter? What does his race have to do with him reading books to children? And then they say types of guests that may attend: fireman, doctor, artist. Like, what? Who? Where's the fireman, doctor, or artist? Unless you're considering being an author, art. Like, if I seen this shit and I was a parent, I'd be like, what the actual fuck is going on here, bro? Like, why do I need to sign this? Why do I need to sign this? Just have an assembly and have them fucking read. You can send me a letter and let me know that it's gonna happen, but why do I need to like sign off on this? Don't you realize I'm an adult with shit to do? Like, why the fuck do I need to sign off on this shit? Make that clear to me. You can't, because you don't. In an interview Tuesday, Walter said the form came from his daughter Eva's first grade teacher at Coral Way K-8 in Miami. Walter said that after he saw it, he gave the teacher verbal consent for Eva to take part, but was told that if his daughter didn't return a signed form, she could not participate. My daughter didn't even mention it to me, Walter said. She didn't want me to sign it because she thought it would be boring. The idea that kids can have a say in what activities they participate in is really strange. And then the idea that some kids will be taken out of class, that just seems bizarre. The requirement was implemented to comply with the Parental Rights and Education Law, which was signed into law by Governor Ron DeSantis in 2022. Supporters say it gives parents greater control over their children's education. While critics call it the Don't Say Gay Law. The law was expanded to prevent classroom discussion about sexual orientation on gender identity in all grades. Now, when I read that initially, I had an impulsive thought like, this is garbage. I don't believe that. What they just said, I don't believe. So, I did what I probably shouldn't have done. I did a thing, and I just clicked on that link. If you look in this text, that word where it says Parental Rights and Education Law, I clicked it. And this is what it brought up. Is this it? Yep, there we go. Now, this is from Florida, the state of Florida's website. Governor Ron DeSantis signs historic bill to protect parental rights in education. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill HB 1557, Parental Rights in Education, which reinforces parents' fundamental rights to make decisions regarding the upbringing of their children. The bill prohibits classroom instruction on sexual orientation or gender identity in kindergarten through third grade and prohibits instruction that is not age appropriate for students and requires school districts to adopt procedures for notifying parents if there is a change in the services from the school regarding a child's mental, emotional, or physical health or well-being. The bill builds on the Parents' Bill of Rights, which was signed into law in Florida last year and is part of Governor DeSantis' year of the parent focus on protecting parental rights in education. Now, where do you hear "don't say gay" in that? Let's click House Bill 1557 because the rest of it is just like article. Whoa, how long is this? I didn't go through all this part right here. Okay, this is quite a bit much, but I'll read up until it starts itemizing things. Okay, just to get a general understanding of it. An act relating to parental rights and education requiring district school boards to adopt procedures that comport, you know what? Nah. I tell you what, I will zoom. Oh, I can't do it. Just go. You can find who is this at MSNBC? Yeah, NBC News. You can find it there. Story by Janelle Griffith. You can find a link and you can read that. But I found something. When you scroll down to the bottom of this, it kind of summarizes it all. It says HB 1557. Hang on a second. Yeah. HB 1557 takes 3 key steps to protect students and put power back in the hands of parents. It prohibits instruction about sexual orientation or gender identity in K through 3 classrooms, and after 3rd grade, these conversations need to be age appropriate. The bill ensures that at the beginning of every school year, parents will be notified about health care services offered at the school with the right to decline any service offered. And the bill ensures that whenever a questionnaire or health screening is given to K through 3 students, the parents receive it first and provide permission for the school to administer the questionnaire or health screening to their child. So, why? How is this? How is this not compliant with that? How is it not compliant? Based on what I read, it just seemed like y'all being petty. Y'all being petty as fuck. DeSantis, a Republican, has signed legislation on several education issues, including what he has called the Stop Woke Act, which limit how race can be taught in school. He has also accused public schools of liberal indoctrination, which is completely accurate. Got another one here for you. Governor Ron DeSantis signs legislation to protect Floridians from discrimination of woke indoctrination. This is also from the state of Florida's website, fl.gov. Hialeah Gardens. Today, Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 7 to give businesses, employees, children, and families tools to stand up against discrimination and woke indoctrination. The bill includes provisions to prevent discriminatory instruction in the workplace and in public schools and defines individual freedoms based on the fundamental truth that all individuals are equal before the law and have inalienable rights. This legislation is the first of its kind in the nation to take on both corporate wokeness and critical race theory in schools one act. So we jump down to the bottom here. HB 7 protects civil rights in employment and K through 20 education by specifying that subjecting an employee or student to a required activity that promotes, advances, or compels individuals to believe discriminatory concepts it constitutes unlawful discrimination. Concepts constituting unlawful discrimination include that members of one race, color, or national origin or sex are morally superior to members of another race, color, national origin, or sex. A person by virtue of their race or sex is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive. A person's moral character or status as privileged or oppressed is determined by race, color, national origin, or sex. A person by virtue of their race, color, national origin, or sex should be discriminated against or receive adverse treatment to achieve diversity, equity, or inclusion. This bill also requires instructional materials, and professional development in public schools to adhere to the principles of individual freedom outlined in the bill. These principles include that no person is inherently racist, sexist, or oppressive just by virtue of his or her race or sex, and meritocracy or hard work ethic are not racist, but fundamental to the right to pursue success. The bill authorizes discussion of topics such as sexism, slavery, racial oppression, racial segregation, and racial discrimination in an age-appropriate manner, and in such a way that does not indoctrinate or persuade students to a certain point of view that is inconsistent with the principles of individual freedom. The bill also expands instruction of African American history to develop students' understanding of the ramifications of prejudice and racism. Classroom instruction will educate students on what it means to be a respectful and responsible citizen and encourage tolerance of diversity to protect democratic principles that our country is founded on. Schools are required to teach factual information on topics including African American history and the Holocaust instead of subjective indoctrination that pushes collective guilt. Sounds like a stop woke act to me. Sounds like we're just going to talk about what was. We're not going to lie to these kids. We're not going to plant these ideas in their head. We're simply going to provide them the facts and let the chips fall as they may, which is the right thing to do. Pushing this whole left-wing agenda, calling it the Don't Say Gay law, that's all left-wing propaganda to the fullest. That's what that shit is. They're trying their hardest to further this left-wing, leftist agenda and narrative that kids shouldn't be taught about slavery, or that teaching kids about slavery is a bad thing, or trying to like talk about white people and their whiteness as if that's like a tangible essence to be experienced. No. That's like that critical race theory shit. No. You do not need to alleviate people from the experience on their own terms. Like, people gonna reach their own conclusions about races and how people are depending on where they from and their customs and what they do and shit. You get out and about enough, you will develop that on your own. You don't need school to culture people. You need it to educate, to teach, and give you the necessary basic fundamentals to live an adult life. That's supposed to be the main purpose of the education system, if I'm not mistaken. At least that's my definition of it. You know, I may be wrong, but I doubt it. Let me see. How much more of this we got to go? Yeah, let's get it. Walter, whose other daughter is a fourth grader at the same school, said he has never had to sign a permission slip for either child to participate in a read aloud or listen to a guest speaker at school in the past. The permission form policy has been in effect in Miami-Dade County Public Schools since at least November and requires schools to obtain parental consent for various activities, including when a guest speaker visits a class. I guess. It's kind of woke. Administrators at Coral Way K-8 declined to comment and referred NBC News to the Miami-Dade County Public Schools District. A spokesperson for the school district said in a statement, "We realize that the description of the event may have caused confusion, and we are working with our schools to reemphasize the importance of clarity for parents in describing activities and events that will require parental permission. However, in compliance with state law, permission slips were sent home because guest speakers would participate during a school-authorized education-related activity." I mean, it's just a guy reading to kids. Like, he's not. It's a book. Is the book educational? It's like an extra. It's elective. Why do you need permission for that? That's like saying they need permission to go to recess. You got to bring home a daily permission slip for your parents to okay your kids playing recess. Like, you didn't get to sit out in PE. You at least had to change clothes, show up, or it worked, or it counted against you. Like you said, when the kids get all this say over the motherfucking what's the name? A recent school board committee meeting that was whatever. That's that. I found this other thing courtesy of NBC News. I clicked on that link where it said the Stop Woke Act. It said the ACLU files a lawsuit challenging Florida's Stop Woke Act. The complaint charges that the act is racially motivated censorship enacted by the Florida legislature to stifle demands that discuss, study, and address systemic inequalities. I breezed through this. The ACLU of Florida, the Legal Defense Fund, and the national law firm filed a lawsuit Thursday challenging Florida's Stop Woke Act, which restricts how race, gender, and inequality are discussed in schools, colleges, and workplace. The complaint filed in federal court names the Florida Board Governors of the state university system and the Commissioner of the Florida State Board of Education as defendants. Renee Ferguson, a spokeswoman for the Florida Board of Governors of the state university system, says she cannot comment on pending litigation. Cassie Palelis, a Florida Department of Education spokesperson, said Friday, quote, "We do not comment on matters pertaining to pending litigation." It also names as defendants the Board of Trustees and several public universities within the university system. They have made no public comment on the lawsuit, and DeSantis' communications office did not immediately return requests for comment. The complaint charges that the Stop Woke Act is racially motivated censorship enacted by the Florida legislature to stifle widespread demands to discuss, study, and address systemic inequalities. Following the nationwide protests that provoked discussions about race and racism in the aftermath of the 2020 killings of Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and George Floyd. As part of the racial reckoning spurred by their deaths, people across disciplines, including professors and other educators at universities, sought to talk about the importance of racial justice in their work. A number of departments issued statements that emphasize their commitment to the anti-racism in their classrooms, blah, 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 blah. If you want to read the rest, you can find that article on NBC News. I'm not gonna further drone on. It's just basically people's statements or whatever, but it's just to kind of give you a general idea of, why leftism is evil, why victimhood is so powerful amongst that circle, and how it's crippling to a society and a civilization. To say there's always these victimized people, we need the government intervention. Like, you're giving people the option to let the government live their lives for them. You're trying to breed a new generation of softies, which is why this generation, they're so entitled and they think they deserve everything because everything's given to them by the government. That's how tyrannical governments form. Like, who really, with what I just read what the Stop Woke Act entails. Like, it's protecting against indoctrination. And they saying it's fueling systemic oppression. It just doesn't mesh for me. Like, how based on what I read from the state of Florida's website and based on what it said in that NBC News article, I think somebody's not getting the message here. And I think it's just another narrative to attack and manipulate and breed another generation of relatively useless, entitled, and unambitious fucking losers. All these tropes, all these chants and shit, like, I don't know, man. I'm just, when you look at it in the grand scheme, the fact that you gotta send home a permission slip for a black man to speak to children, but that they'll bring people like Lil Nas X and shit into schools while this nigga's grinding on the fucking devil after sliding down a stripper pole into hell and shit. Ain't need no permission slips to put Lil Nas X in front of these kids. They don't need no permission slips to put drag queens in front of kids. Fuck out of here, man. You niggas are sick as fuck. Yo, that's the show. Thanks for watching and listening. I appreciate it. Till next time, I holla.